What is up, everybody? This is JP training at a self-made training facility in Redlands, California. If you guys are local to the area, you can message me at any of the links down below in the description so you can get a free fitness consultation. If you guys aren't local to the area, I still offer online training, so you guys can message me at any of those links below. Today's video is going to be about range of motion. It's not going to be a very long video. It's just going to be a short video, and it's more of a kind of common knowledge topic we're gonna touch up on today, but it's still something that I see regularly, and if you don't pay attention to it, it could be something that you're doing right now that you're not even noticing. So the topic it concerns range of motion. And if you didn't know, obviously range of motion is it's closely tied to hypertrophy. If your goal is strength, you obviously have a range of motion that you have to go through for the most part to have that lift deemed okay. Like, for example, if you're doing a deadlift, you have to be deadlifting it from the floor, especially if you're a power lifter. If you're doing a bench press, the universal depth is to most everyone. If you're not a power lifter, it's to your chest. And if you are a power lifter, you have to go to your chest. So strength is largely determined by the exercise you're doing and if you're in a competition or if you're not in a competition. So I'm not really gonna talk about strength specifically because, again, that's dictated by, the range of motion for strength is dictated by the person doing the exercise and whether or not you're in competition. But in regards to hypertrophy, where, again, it doesn't matter what range of motion you use, your goal is just to gain muscle, whether you're a bodybuilder or not a bodybuilder. I'm pretty sure anyone who wants to gain muscle wants to gain it optimally. And one thing that you have to remember is that range of motion is closely tied to hypertrophy. So for example, if someone's doing a curl and they're doing a curl from up here and they're going just little range of motion curls like that, they're obviously not going to see as much gains as someone who does a full range of motion curl. That's an exaggerated point, but I still need to exaggerate it to kind of get my point across, is because you'll constantly see people in the gym cutting their range of motion short just a little bit, and sometimes it can get to the point where it's not a little bit, but they're almost there. So you might be doing this yourself, or you might see someone doing this in the gym, is they'll be doing curls, and instead of coming all the way down, they'll come up, and then they'll stop right about here. So instead of doing full range of motion curls, so like a correct curl, all the way up, all the way down, they'll cut like that bottom quarter off. So it'll kind of look like this. So they're cutting off like the bottom quarter of that rep. For some reason, I don't know why, because maybe it's just something that they've always done, or maybe they consider that a full rep. So one tip that I'm gonna give you that you can apply to almost any isolation exercise. So an exercise that only involves the movement of one joint, like during a bicep curl, obviously the elbow is going to be moving. That's the joint in that exercise. Or it could be a different joint, like it could be the knee joint if you're doing like a leg extension. But one tip that I can give you is that when you're at the full range of motion of that exercise, is just to flex the opposite muscle group. You guys have probably heard this before, but for those of you who haven't, or if maybe you've heard of it but you're not doing it, is just to flex the opposite muscle group to make sure that you're getting to a full range of motion. So like taking a curl, for example, when you come down to the bottom, flex your tricep when you're at the bottom, or you think you're at the bottom, because if you do flex your tricep when you're at the bottom of a curl, if you can extend your arm anymore, it's going to extend more. And that's what you want, is a full range of motion. So if you try to do it the cheat way, like I showed you right now, like if you do it kind of like a half curl, you come down here and then you flex your tricep, you're going to be able to extend your arm that much more. And that little bit of range of motion that you're cutting off on every single rep is probably going to be cutting you out on gain somewhere. So again, for isolation movements, you want to flex the opposing muscle group. So for example, like on a leg extension, when if you're extending your leg, like let's just say you're doing a leg extension machine, at the very bottom of the rep, where your quad is extended fully, or it's lengthened fully, and your leg is flexed, what you'd want to do is flex your hamstring. Same thing with a hamstring curl. If you're doing a hamstring curl on a machine, when your leg is fully extended, you want to flex your quad to make sure that you're getting that full extension of that leg. So that'll definitely help you guys get more gains on the long run if that's something that you're doing. Let me give you another example right here. I really wouldn't try that with compound movements, just because there's a lot of joints moving and being involved in those lifts, and that can kind of be a little bit too much to think about during the lift anyways. So I would mainly use this for isolation movements, but there are a few compound movements that this could benefit. And this example that I'm going to show you right here is pull-ups. Here is an incorrect way to do a pull-up, and sometimes you'll see people doing this at the gym, and they're just not going all the way down, and they're cutting themselves out a lot of gains that they could be making if they were to just do a full range of motion. Most people don't like the fact that when they do a full range of motion, though, they can't do that many, they do a lot less pull-ups, but it's kind of an ego thing. Maybe they want to make it look like they can do a lot more. Everyone does it. I've done things like that at some point. Pretty much everyone has. But again, it's something that you still want to do, and here's a correct way to do a pull-up, or you know, using a larger range of motion for that pull-up. So what you do is at the bottom of the pull-up, you would just want to do the opposing thing. So instead of laterally adducting your arms, you want to adduct your arms or push away, just push up. Simply just thinking about pushing up at the bottom and fully locking out your arms, flexing your triceps, again, laterally abducting your arms at the same time, almost like a lateral raise, but at the top. You know, some people will do the exercise where they take the dumbbell and they'll come like way overhead with it. So that's something that you could do at the bottom of the pull-up as well. Again, the goal is just when you're at that fully lengthened range of motion, you want to flex the opposing muscle group so that the working muscle group gets fully lengthened and you're not cheating yourself out of that full range of motion, because again, that's going to hurt you in getting gains in the long run. If you guys have any questions, comments, leave them down below. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.